Congratulations. If this message has reached you before October 6th, that means you're still ahead of the clock. You're still breathing in a world that's about to change. Still standing in that tiny window of time where choices still matter. Most people don't realize when they're living inside the calm before something big. They waste it scrolling, laughing, pretending everything's fine. But the truth, the countdown has already started. Every second is dripping away like blood from a cut you can't see yet. And you're one of the few who got the warning early. You got the message before the others even knew there was one. Funny how fate works. Some people never hear it, and some hear it just in time. Timing decides who survives and who watches. That's the game, isn't it? Everyone thinks it's about strength, luck, talent, whatever lie keeps them comfortable. But it's always been about timing. The right words spoken too late is useless. The right move made too early is suicide. The world doesn't reward effort. It rewards precision. You can have all the power in your hands, all the brilliance in your head, but if you move at the wrong second, it all turns to ash. Timing separates the survivors from the spectators, the winners from the ones who clap for them. Most people don't even see time the way they should. They think it's something you have. They say things like, "I've got time," as if time is some obedient pet sitting by their side. But time isn't loyal. It doesn't belong to you. It's a predator. It's always moving, always devouring, and it never looks back. The moment you think you're in control of it, that's when it bites. The smart ones, the dangerous ones, don't try to own time, they learn to read it. They feel when the shift is coming, when the air changes, when the silence grows heavier. They can sense the second before something breaks. And when it does, they're already in position. Everyone else, they're still blinking, still thinking, still trying to figure out what happened. People call it luck, when someone moves at the perfect moment. Oh, they were lucky. No, they were awake. Luck is just what the lazy call other people's timing. The world throws signs every second, small warnings, tiny openings, perfect chances. But people miss them because they're too busy waiting for things to feel right. Timing isn't about comfort. It's about awareness. It's about moving when your instincts scream at you to wait, about striking when everyone else freezes. Survival isn't a reward for the strongest. It's the prize for the fastest to recognize the moment. And the cruelest part, the window always closes faster than you think. 1 second it's wide open, calling your name, and the next, it's gone. Blink, and you miss it. Hesitate, and you lose it. That's what most people never understand. They think they'll get another chance, another sign, another day. But time doesn't repeat itself. It mocks you by moving on. And when the door slams shut, all the what ifs in the world won't open it again. You'll stand there with your excuses, your regrets, your perfect plans. And none of them will matter, because the moment that mattered already passed. Timing has no mercy. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. It doesn't care if you're scared or unsure or tired. The moment arrives, and it demands an answer. You either act or you disappear into the background. The ones who survive are the ones who understand that hesitation is death disguised as safety. They feel the fear, but they move anyway. They don't wait for clarity. They create it by acting. And once they do, the world bends to them, because the world respects momentum more than perfection. The watchers, the ones who hesitate, they spend their lives analyzing, replaying, trying to understand what went wrong. They talk about timing like it's bad luck. But the truth is, timing gives you signs long before it strikes. You just have to be willing to see what others ignore. The shift in a friend's tone, the unease in the room, the opportunity hiding in a mistake. All signs, all warnings. But people don't look, because looking requires presence, and presence is uncomfortable. Everyone wants to live in the past or the future, but timing exists only in the now. The now is where decisions are made, where everything changes, where the world moves with or without you. You can tell who understands timing by the way they move. They don't rush, they don't drag. They glide through chaos as if they've seen it all before. They wait when waiting hurts. They act when silence cracks. And when they move, everything around them shifts, like the world was waiting for that exact moment. That's real power, not money, not fame, not muscles. Timing. Knowing when to speak, when to strike, when to walk away. The world's full of corpses of people who almost made it, who were almost right, who were almost in time. Almost is the graveyard of those who thought they had more seconds to spare, and the few standing on top. They understood that time doesn't hand out second chances. It rewards the ones who see the pattern, who feel the pulse, who act before the sound even reaches their ears. Timing decides who walks away from the fire and who burns inside it, smiling, still wondering why it all went wrong. Warnings never come to everyone, only to the awake. The universe doesn't shout its secrets to the crowd. It whispers them to the ones who know how to listen. Most people are too busy drowning in noise, lost in the echo of their own distractions, blinded by screens, by comfort, by lies they tell themselves to make it through another day. They want signs, they beg for answers, they demand guidance. But when the warning finally comes, it slips right past them, quiet and sharp, because they were never truly awake to begin with. You ever notice how some people always seem to sense things before they happen? They walk differently. They watch differently. They don't talk as much. But when they do, it's like they've already seen the ending. Those are the awake ones. They pay attention to the things everyone else ignores. The pauses in speech, the tension in the air, the shift in the pattern. They don't need proof. They don't need explanations. They just know. Because warnings don't come in lightning or fire, they come in silence. And only those who've trained their mind to listen beyond the noise can catch them. The asleep, they laugh at warnings. They say, "You're overreacting," or "You're paranoid," because they can't see the storm building behind the calm. They mistake peace for safety. They believe if they close their eyes, the danger disappears. But ignorance doesn't protect. It invites destruction. The warning isn't there to comfort. It's there to prepare. But how can you prepare for something you refuse to believe exists? That's why most people get hit by life like it's a surprise attack. They weren't blind by chance. They were blind by choice. The awake don't wait for disaster to knock. They feel it long before it arrives. They can sense when something in the world goes off balance. They might not have the answers, but they trust the tension. They don't call it superstition. They call it instinct sharpened by pain, by experience, by watching others fall asleep and never wake up again. When the warning comes, they don't question it. They move. They shift. They act while others laugh. And when the smoke clears, the difference between the awake and the asleep becomes painfully clear. The thing about warnings is that they're not meant to be pretty. They don't arrive with comfort or certainty. They come wrapped in unease, in the feeling that something's wrong, even when everything looks fine. It's the way the world tests who's paying attention. The warning isn't the storm. It's the breeze before it, the quiet that feels too quiet, the flicker of doubt that creeps into your gut. The awake feel that, and they don't ignore it. They respect it. Because they've learned that ignoring small warnings leads to bigger disasters. People say they want truth, but what they really want is reassurance. Truth doesn't reassure, it disrupts. It wakes you up, violently, like cold water thrown in your face. And that's why so few can handle it. When a warning arrives, it demands change. It demands that you move, that you break from your comfort, that you abandon the illusion that everything will just work out. The asleep cling to that illusion until it drowns them. The awake, they let go before the tide hits. They don't fight the wave. They ride it. And there's another thing. Warnings don't repeat themselves. They appear once in a flicker, and then they're gone. If you missed it, it's not coming back. You don't get to rewind life to catch the whisper you ignored. That's what separates the watchers from the survivors. The awake are always scanning, always alert, not because they're paranoid, but because they've learned that the universe doesn't owe them clarity. If you want to survive, you have to earn your awareness. The warning might come as a feeling, a dream, a word overheard, a sudden sense of dread. Most people shrug it off. They call it coincidence. The awake call it a message, and that message, once recognized, becomes their weapon. They don't panic, they prepare. They start moving pieces before anyone else knows there's even a game being played. By the time others realize what's happening, the awake are already miles ahead, calm, watching, waiting for the rest to catch up or burn trying. Being awake isn't comfortable. It's lonely. You see too much, feel too much, understand too deeply how fragile everything is. But that's the price of awareness. You can't unsee what you've seen, and you can't go back to sleep once you've heard the whisper. And yet, that's the edge that keeps the awake alive. The warning doesn't scare them. It sharpens them. It reminds them that safety is an illusion, that the world is a game of observation, that only the ones who notice before the explosion get to tell the story afterward. So when a warning finds you, when the whisper reaches your ear before the world falls apart, don't take it lightly. It didn't come to everyone. It found you for a reason. Because not everyone deserves to be warned. Only the awake do. The clock doesn't tick for decoration, it's a threat. Every click, every tiny sound it makes, is a reminder that something is slipping away, something you can't ever get back. People treat time like wallpaper, something that just exists in the background, something you don't have to think about. They wear watches, they hang clocks on walls, they check their phones 1,000 times a day. But none of it means they understand what it's actually saying. That sound, that quiet rhythmic tapping, it's not keeping you company, it's warning you. It's whispering that the world is moving on, with or without you. Every second is a deal. You trade it for something, whether you realize it or not. Some people trade it for money, some for comfort, some for nothing at all. They throw their time away like it's endless, like there will always be another hour, another day, another chance. But the clock doesn't care what you believe. It just keeps counting down. You can ignore it, drown it out with noise. Fill your life with distractions. But time doesn't stop just because you're pretending it's not there. It's patient. It doesn't need to shout. It just waits for you to run out. You ever really listen to a clock in the middle of the night? That sound, that slow, deliberate rhythm, it's alive. It doesn't speed up. It doesn't slow down. No matter how much you beg it to. It's not on your side. It's reminding you that you're temporary. That all your plans, all your dreams, all your excuses are dying 1 second at a time. You think you have control, but you don't. The only real control you have is how you spend what's left. And most people waste that, waiting for the right time. That never comes. The right time doesn't exist. The clock isn't waiting for you to be ready. It's waiting to bury you. The funny thing is, people don't start listening to the clock until it's almost done ticking. When the doctor says, not much time left. When the betrayal finally hits. When the opportunity slips away. That's when they finally hear it. That's when the ticking becomes deafening. Because the sound never changed. They just never cared to notice it before. And by then, it's too late. The threat has already been fulfilled. The time they thought they owned was already spent. The clock doesn't lie. It doesn't play favorites. It doesn't care who you are, how rich, how powerful, how clever. It treats everyone the same. That's what makes it terrifying. You can cheat people, you can cheat systems, you can cheat yourself, but you can't cheat time. It's the one enemy that never blinks, never stops, never negotiates. It just moves forward, slicing your life into smaller and smaller pieces until there's nothing left to cut. The clever ones, the ones who see the threat for what it is, they don't waste time fighting it. They use it. They turn every tick into a warning, every second into a move. They don't wait for things to happen. They make them happen. They understand that every delay, every moment of hesitation, is another piece of life surrendered to the clock's teeth. They live fast, not because they fear death, but because they refuse to let time steal from them quietly. The clock has this cruel sense of humor. When you're young, it moves slow, teasing you with patience. But the moment you start to understand how little you have, it speeds up. Days blur into weeks, weeks into years, and suddenly the future you talked about is already gone. You'll tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow isn't guaranteed. The clock never promised you that. Every second is borrowed. You don't own a single one. People like to say, time heals. No, it doesn't. Time erases. It doesn't fix the wounds. It just buries them under more seconds, until you forget how deep they were. Time doesn't care about your healing, your regrets, your pain. It only cares about progress. And progress isn't kind. It keeps moving with or without you. The ones who understand that don't wait to be ready. They act in the middle of the chaos because they know waiting is just another name for dying slower. The clock doesn't tick for decoration. It's not background noise. It's the sound of your life unraveling, second by second, while you sit there thinking you have more time. You don't. No one does. The clock is a predator dressed like a friend, smiling as it takes everything from you, one heartbeat at a time. People say destiny will find you, but that's a lie told by the lazy, by the comfortable, by the ones who are afraid to move until someone pushes them. Destiny doesn't knock politely on your door and ask if you're ready. It sneaks in, catches you off guard, rearranges your plans, and dares you to respond. But most people don't. They freeze. They hesitate. They wait for a perfect sign, for the universe to confirm that it's safe. Safe. That word again. It ruins more lives than failure ever could. Because while you're waiting for safety, destiny gets bored and walks away, looking for someone with the courage to move in the dark. You see, opportunities don't shout. They whisper. They don't show up dressed in gold. They look like problems, like pain, like endings. That's why most people miss them. They think destiny comes with applause, with certainty, with a guarantee of success. But destiny shows up as loss, heartbreak, rejection, humiliation. It shows up when everything falls apart and you're forced to choose between staying broken or rebuilding from the ashes. And in that chaos, that's where you find out who you really are. There's a moment, somewhere between the fall and the rise, when everything feels impossible. That's the moment destiny watches you closest. It's not about how loud you scream, how much you cry, or how deep the pain goes. It's about one thing: do you move? Do you take a step when the ground beneath you is shaking? Do you speak when your voice trembles? Do you act when fear tells you to wait? Because destiny doesn't care about your comfort. It's testing your conviction. The ones who make it, they don't have some secret power. They just stop waiting for permission. They stop expecting the world to make sense. They stop trying to predict what's next and just dive into it, no matter how ugly, how uncertain, how cruel. Because deep down, they understand something others don't. Hesitation is the enemy. The more you think, the more you lose. The more you plan, the more you delay. And by the time you finally decide to act, the moment is gone, stolen by someone who didn't think twice. Destiny doesn't reward the smartest or the most talented. It rewards the bold, the ones who jump before they're ready, the ones who risk looking foolish, the ones who are willing to be misunderstood, mocked, doubted. Because destiny loves chaos. It loves to see who can move through the storm without losing focus. It hides behind uncertainty, waiting to see who has the nerve to walk through it anyway. Most people wait for clarity before acting. But the truth, clarity only comes after you move, not before. Have you ever noticed how life seems to test you right before something changes? It's almost cruel, isn't it? Right before the breakthrough, everything falls apart. You lose people, you lose peace, you lose control. That's not punishment, it's preparation. It's the universe stripping away everything that's too small for the next chapter. But you don't see it that way when you're in it. You see it as betrayal. You call it unfair. You want to quit. That's exactly what the test is designed to do, to see if you'll surrender before the door opens. The irony is, destiny doesn't care about your timing. It doesn't wait until you're ready. It doesn't care if you're tired, broken, scared, or uncertain. When it's time, it's time. And if you don't answer, someone else will. You'll watch someone else live the life that was meant for you, simply because they had the nerve to move when you hesitated. And you'll tell yourself it wasn't meant to be. But deep down, you'll know the truth. It was. You just didn't move fast enough. There's a trap in thinking you'll get another chance, that you'll recognize the moment next time. But life doesn't recycle opportunities. It replaces them. The ones who act become unrecognizable in a year. The ones who wait stay stuck in the same place, telling the same stories about what they almost did. Almost. That word is the graveyard of potential. The world is full of people who almost became something. They almost tried, almost changed, almost listened. But almost doesn't count. Destiny doesn't reward almost. So, when the moment comes, and it always does, you'll feel it before you understand it. That strange pull in your chest. That restless energy, that whisper telling you, now, don't overthink it. Don't ask for proof. Don't ask for signs. That feeling is the sign. That discomfort is the call. Because destiny doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It slips in quietly, disguised as chaos, daring you to see through the confusion and act anyway. If you hesitate, it moves on. If you answer, it changes everything. People keep thinking the world will give them a warning before it breaks them. They think there'll be a sign, a signal, something obvious telling them it's time to change. But the truth, the world doesn't warn you, it just hits you. One day, everything feels fine, and the next, you're standing in the ruins of what used to make sense. That's the moment most people panic. They scramble, they beg, they blame. But the ones who truly rise, they don't waste time crying over what collapsed. They look at the pieces and start building something new, something stronger, something untouchable. Because destruction isn't the end. It's the beginning of clarity. When the storm comes, you can't reason with it. You can't beg it to pass quietly. It doesn't care about your comfort or your plans. The storm's job is to strip away illusions, to expose the truth, to show you who's real and who was only there for the calm weather. People hate storms because they reveal too much. They show you the fragility of everything you trusted. The fake friends, the shallow love, the fragile confidence built on convenience. But that's the point. You can't step into power carrying dead weight. The storm clears your path for you, violently if it has to. Pain has a funny way of teaching you discipline. It doesn't whisper, it screams. And every time it hurts, it's asking you one question. Are you listening yet? Most people don't. They cover their ears with distractions, noise, fake smiles. They tell themselves it's fine, that it's temporary. But you can't heal in denial. You can't find peace pretending you're not bleeding. The moment you stop running from your pain, you start learning from it. That's when transformation begins. Not when things get better, but when you stop pretending they're fine. They say time heals everything, but that's another lie for the weak. Time doesn't heal, it hides. It buries the wound under routine, under noise, under fake laughter. But the wound stays there, waiting, rotting, whispering reminders at night. Healing doesn't come from waiting. It comes from confronting. You have to face the darkness that broke you, stare it in the eye, and take back what it stole. That's not easy. It's brutal. It's lonely. But it's necessary. Because if you don't, the pain will own you. It will control how you speak, how you love,